Hello and welcome back to the channel. We're still on the same book, How to Read a Book by Mortimer J. Adler and Charles Van Doren. This is chapter 4. We're still in part 1, and it's called The Second Level of Reading, Inspectional Reading. So, when it comes to inspectional reading, the first thing to be aware of is that it is made up of two parts. Okay, the first part, as mentioned previously, is called skimming or pre-reading. This allows you, among other things, to decide if the book is worth your while or not, right? What the author's, overall argument is, how the book is structured, right? If it seems to agree with or stray from the arguments you've encountered on similar topics, and so on. Okay, so skimming should not take plenty of time. Okay, and even if you ultimately decide not to read the book you're examining, you usually will have gotten something out of it. Okay, no matter how trivial. Here's a guideline concerning skimming. Look at the title page, back page, where a summary usually is. Okay, much shorter than mine, hopefully, and a preface. Okay, if it's there. Okay, read these quickly and note any subtitles. Okay, especially with older books, but even some new ones, especially self-help books and science books, they tend to have a lot of subtitles. Okay, all this will at least allow you to figure out what angle, right, the author is taking on his or her subject, right, and what class of book the text belongs to. Okay, is it philosophy? Is it science? Is it self-help? Is it literature? Whatever. This will allow you to better analyze it, right? Better compare it, and so on. Okay. 2. Study closely the table of contents. Especially in older works, these used to be quite detailed, and single-handedly allow you to form a mental map of the book's content. Okay. Even back in Adler's days, in the early 70s, he was sort of saying that, I've noticed a lot of books now don't have a detailed table of content, and it was and still is, they do it this way because they want to keep it, hidden. They want to keep the content mysterious. Okay, they want you to look at it and not be able to get much out of it, and then you go, you know what, let me read the book so that I can better understand. Then you buy it, then they make money. So, all right, examine the index, right, which is at the end of the book. The benefit of this is that you can get an idea of the breadth or depth of segments covered. Um, yeah, it may be too detailed for you, right? It may be, you may know 80% of the words there, which is just fine, and that's what you're looking for. But likewise, maybe you do want something that's detailed, right? So yeah, so this is also your chance to look up terms that seem unfamiliar, right? Should you, of course, decide to actually read the book, so you can get a head start on vocabulary that way. So yeah, so this can therefore indirectly tell you how difficult the book might be or how much time you'll need to read it. If they are there, examine the chapter headings. Um, Also, look at any introductory statements at the beginning or the summarizing remarks toward the end to get a sense of the author's aim. Okay, again, not all books have them. I've seen this mostly in science books, right? Where they sort of summarize at the end. This book summarizes most chapters at the end, so it makes it quite useful. Quite organized, refreshes your memory at the end, and yeah, I think it's great. Unfortunately, not all books have this. Finally, choose some pages at random. Okay, remember, we're still skimming, we're still not actually reading the book. Okay, choose some pages at random, read them, right? In whole or in part, okay, especially the last 2 or 3 pages of a book. Why are they important? They're important because more often than not, authors won't be able to resist the urge to summarize their main arguments toward the end, right? They want to make sure if you got to the end that at the very least they refresh your memory, and as tersely as possible tell you what they've been talking about. So all these steps should take no more than an hour. Okay, often less. All right. So keep that in mind. Your skimming shouldn't take more than an hour. That's the maximum. Okay, the maximum it should take. All right. So that was the first part. Okay. 5 things to remember. The second part of inspectional reading is called superficial reading. Okay. Do not be misled by the adjective superficial. Okay. It has to do with what I talked about before. Okay. You cannot understand and analyze at the same time, at least not well. So when you're reading a challenging book for the first time, don't worry too much, okay? If you don't understand all of its points profoundly, all right? And do not attempt to analyze from the get-go. All good books must be read at least twice, okay? At least twice. Your aim during the first read is to have a complete picture of the book's points. Only after doing this can you move on to the third level of reading, analytical reading, okay? So resist the temptation to look things up, be it on dictionary.com, Wikipedia, Google Scholar, Cliff Notes, okay, or whatever. If you do this before exhausting your own mental faculties, you will, without meaning to, be hurting your chances of truly and fully analyzing a book, okay? Because the ideas found on those websites or whatever you consult or whomever you consult, okay, they will color, okay, they will color your own understanding, and what you'll come up with will not be fully your own. Anyway, let's talk about speed reading, which I sort of mentioned in the overview, okay, which is talked about in this chapter. Speed reading solves only one type of problem, right? The problem of slowly reading things that ought to be read quickly. But there are many other reading problems, and speed reading is of little use, right, when you apply it as a remedy to those kinds of problems. For instance, not knowing what to look for or how to analyze, right? These are the common problems, right? Given the many distractions around us today, these won't be solved by reading quickly. Okay, it's like you'll be getting to the wrong destination faster. Okay, that's not very helpful, right? If you're not heading toward your desired destination, it doesn't do you much good to get there more quickly, right? What does you good is correcting your course, right? Getting to the right destination. So, ow, yeah, sorry. Okay. Also, some passages are dense, right? Requiring a slow, meticulous pace to allow their full absorption. Okay. Here, needless to say, right? Speed reading is detrimental. It hurts. Okay. So the crucial thing to take away from this then is one needs to identify what needs to be read at what speed. Okay. So in other words, if you're reading everything at the same speed, that means you're saying everything is equally important. And if you think that, then you're not reading well. There's no nice way to say it. Okay, all of this does not mean that speed reading is useless. Okay, it doesn't mean you should just throw it away. Okay, if you want a simple and inexpensive method to do it, here it is. Okay, grab a pen, pencil, whatever. Okay, and use your index finger or any finger you feel comfortable with, and move this device of choice, okay, as you read, and monitor what your normal, comfortable rate of reading is. Okay, so first, without pushing yourself, okay, where are you? Okay, how many words per minute can you read? Okay, comfortably. After you do so, increase the speed at which you move your device very slowly. Okay, but force your eyes to follow nonetheless, even if you're not fully comfortable, and you won't be, right? The point is to push yourself, right? To get yourself, oh, okay, I'm still alive, to get yourself out of the comfort zone. Okay, so it will be hard at first. So do it slowly, do it incrementally. Okay, force your eyes to follow. All right. Yeah, the key word here is slightly, slowly. Okay, otherwise you'll just become frustrated. Bit by bit, when you're comfortable with, the 5% faster reading speed, okay, that you've added, or whatever it is, okay, increase that. When you're comfortable with it, with 5%, increase it again until you reach your limit, okay. This also has the added effect of keeping you more focused, okay, because it's more difficult for your mind to wander. If it has to follow that pen or pencil or whatever it is, it'll be harder for it to wander. Okay, so you'll be increasing your focus as well as your speed. Note, however, that concentration is only part of what you need to fully analyze a book. Okay, if you don't have the right tools, even if you're fully focused, you're not going to get the results you want, right? That satisfaction of delving deeply into a book. So remember, read as slowly as need be and as quickly as you can while retaining comprehension. Okay. Also, pre-read a book even if you plan on reading it in full. Okay, this is important. I may have given the impression that only skim a book if you don't plan on reading it in full. Okay. No, even if you plan on reading it, even if if it's required reading from university, or if it's a book you've heard of and you want to read regardless, it's still useful to skim it. Okay. Finally, do not be put off by difficult passages on the first read. Okay, any worthwhile book, you're not going to understand it and analyze it fully from your first read. Okay. Read a book superficially the first time around. That's basically it. Okay. The next chapter, chapter 5, talks about the demands an active reader places on the text before him or her. So I'll see you in the next video for chapter 5.